So, good evening and good afternoon and good morning to everyone here in the Zoom room. I'm David Lindo, also known as the Urban Birder, just trying to sort my lighting out. It's very difficult when you're using household appliances, but these are strange times. Welcome along to In Conservation With. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Leica Sport Optics, as well as King's Place Music Foundation, and they are sponsoring this until the end of December as part of their Nature Unwrapped season. So thank you guys for making this all possible. I'd like to introduce to you Pascalis Dougalis, and excuse me, he is an artist that I came across a few years ago personally. I mean, I didn't actually talk to you, but I happened to notice your work all over social media, and I was thinking, wow, this guy is amazing. And it just so happened that about 2 or maybe 3 years ago, I had a book published in Germany called #Urban Birding, and the illustrations for which were done by Pascalis. And I was so delighted to have had some working with him, even though I had no say in it. I was really happy that the German publisher actually got involved and commissioned him. So Pascalis Dougalis, good evening to you. How are you and where are you?
I'm in Munich, a lightly snow-covered Munich. We had a light snowfall today in the morning. I still live here. I came. You may have that I live in Munich for the last 23 years now. And I want to welcome all of you to our conversation, and many, many thanks for inviting me to take part to your program In Conservation With.
Well, you know what? I'm absolutely delighted because I wanted you on anyway, because I really am a big admirer of your work. And hopefully for those who aren't familiar with Pascalis, you will be seeing some of his stuff later, and I'm sure you'll be agreeing with me. But let me give you some background on Pascalis for those who are unfamiliar. You were born in Greece, and when you were 4, you started showing an artistic ability for the first time, sketching a rooster. And in the ensuing years, you made numerous studies on domestic animals and human portraits. What was that initial moment like? Do you remember the first rooster you actually put pen to paper to?
Yeah, that wasn't actually a real animal. It was a toy, a plastic toy. I've got, I don't know, maybe to my birthday, maybe from grandparents, and I just put it somewhere and just sketch it from life. But it was this which made my parents to drew the attention to this skill and try to support me, providing pencils and paper, and I never missed paper and pencils ever since. I had very supportive parents, I have to say.
No, you were very lucky to have that, because there must be many people out there who had a talent that wasn't nurtured by their parents. Do you still have that original picture?
I still have it in Greece. Yeah. For somebody, I don't have it here, but for somebody who has a Facebook account, it is possible to see it. I have some albums, and one of these albums is dedicated to my very first drawings and paintings. It is visible there.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about your wildlife observations, or should I say your art when it comes to wildlife. But you mentioned that you did numerous studies of domestic animals and human portraits. Tell us about the human portraits. What fascinates you about humans and their faces?
The variety and the individuality of each person, the features of each person, which make this very unique. And not only this, the light, the reflection of light on the skin, and the variety, the huge variety in views. This is the same which fascinates me also in nature. we belong to nature, we're part of it. And just like as the animals and birds fascinated me, the humans is equally. It's actually the same approach to my subject, painting people and painting and drawing wildlife subjects.
So what made you major on wildlife? What made you paint wildlife and not humans? Surely, drawing and painting humans might have been a bit more lucrative, perhaps, because there's loads of humans that might want to have their portraits done.
Yeah, you're right. I'm still doing this. I never stopped drawing and paint people, but not regularly. And I have to say that the turning point in my life to concentrate on wildlife was 2003. No, 1993. It was the first time I've ever seen a bird guide in my life, and then I realized that it could be my occupation one day.
Your vocation, yeah.
Yeah.
Your vocation. Just going back a bit in your life, you grew up in the countryside and had many opportunities to observe and study nature at close quarters. Do you remember the first animal you saw and the first animal that kind of captivated you?
You mean the wild animal?
Wildlife, not domestic.
Wildlife. Yeah. All right. Oh, actually, wildlife was always present around us in the village. And my first encounter was, I can't remember exactly, but I'm sure that hunters that days have caught small puppies of wolf puppies. It was the first time I came in contact very closely to wildlife, to wild animal. They were wolf puppies, I guess. It was the first classes of the elementary school, I guess. Yeah, but wildlife was everywhere evident, particularly bird life. Just like long-eared owl breeding very close to the village, or the gray partridges breeding in the wineries, in the wine fields. Yeah, it was there, but I didn't have the chance to come closer because I didn't have the equipment to come closer to the. That's why the very first years I concentrated my studies on captive animals and birds, wild animals and birds, and road victims, road kills. I tried to understand more about their anatomy and their structure and texture.
Yeah. It's not often you get to see wolf pups as one of the first things in nature. I mean, I've seen wolves a couple of times in my life, but never pups. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
You studied theology at the University of Thessaloniki.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
In Turkey, and you began work as an icon painter. What's an icon painter?
This is the religious images which have been used in the Eastern Orthodox Church. Greece has a long tradition of centuries in this, and they have many skillful painters on this task in this subject, and I was very fortunate to be trained very close to one of them, and this helped me also a lot in my future occupation as an artist, as wildlife artist, because we have to work a lot using almost solely a brush without preliminary drawing, and this supports my future studies a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So during the time, you put in a great deal of energy to try and find a path of your own, as you say, and in 1992, 93, you
Mm-hmm.
English Bird Guide, and it was a revelation to you which influenced your life ever since.
Yeah.
And it's from that moment, as you said, that nature's creatures, birds in particular, dominated your artwork. In 1995 even, sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, back to the future here.
Right.
In 1995, you illustrated a series of books about endangered animal species in Greece, which were published in many publications, and established yourself as an illustrator from that point. And it was then, a year later, you moved to Munich, where you still work and reside.
Yeah.
And your aim in your work is not just to portray average samples of species, but the individual character of the bird and animal featured. And what's interesting, Chris Eek in the audience has said whilst you were talking, he was having a look at your Facebook page, and he came across the Ural Owl illustration, which he thought was absolutely stunning. And he wanted more details in terms of how you got to create that piece of art.
The Ural Owl.
Yeah.
This actually it is commissioned work. It has been a commissioned work from the Austrian. Carinthia is a part of Austria, the southern Austria, close to Slovenia. Carinthian ornithologist to illustrate the cover of a monograph covering the distribution of Ural in Austria. And I've provided, I've got from them a lot of material, visual material, just like photographs and videos. And I decided to create a couple of black and white sketches. This is the way I'm always working, actually. Prior to the final illustration, they have both been proofed by the ornithologists, and they decided to do this version of the illustration in color. And this has been the final illustration, painted in watercolor. Yeah.
I take it you've seen Ural Owl in real life, yeah?
Only captivity.
Oh, okay. Quite an impressive beast. For those who haven't seen one, they are, imagine a tawny owl on steroids and looking slightly grey. I mean, they're double the size and they're double as dangerous, apparently. They're really not to be treated without respect. And beside all that stuff, you teach workshops in Munich Zoo. What kind of workshops do you teach?
There are several, actually, there are adult classes, I would say, and only our course dedicated to kids from a certain age, from 10 to 14. Every year in August, we spent several hours divided in more days with the kids first, because the kids don't have the patience to stay more hours at the same place drawing. But I started giving these courses 4 years ago in cooperation with the zoo, and it seems that it's going to be to the future, because they have been particularly successful, and they drew a lot of interest from the public. And the only, I hope that I'm going to find someone who is particularly talented and skillful to continue the tradition someday.
Okay.
But it's very interesting to see how the people react when they for the first time are just staying in the front of an enclosure and trying to capture an animal or bird who is moving all the time, or most of the time.
Yeah.
It's very interesting and then they had to get explained for me the principle fundamentals of their anatomy, to understand how the bird or animal is moving, and this is pretty important. And that helped me help myself also a lot to understand what I'm really doing, because when I'm out in the outdoors and drawing, I'm just reacting almost instinctively. And I don't make thoughts what I'm doing right now. I'm just reacting to the subject.
So
Yeah.
when you're out in the field and you're, what do you do? When you're out in the field, do you go out with a specific species in mind, or do you just go out and then if something catches your attention,
Mhm.
you observe it and you draw it? How does it work? What is your process?
Yeah, it depends of the location. Um, when I'm going out in Munich, for example, in the big city, I know that they have a certain destinations, just like our local park with the tiny owls, you know them, and or a water artificial lake very close to Munich too. I know what I have to expect, but when I'm traveling somewhere abroad to a certain natural reserve, it's every day is completely unpredictable. It's I don't know what is expect me, and I have to adapt to the certain situation. In Munich, it's in the city is much more predictable. I would say I know what I have to expect. I know the location of the birds. I know what I'm going to find, and I've been prepared for that.
So walk us through your process. You're in Munich in a park. What equipment have you got, and how do you use it to then make art?
It depends on the weather, of course, the weather conditions. If it's too cold, I'm used to work only in black and white or brown white, sepia white, using my sepia fine liners. And when it's the weather allows, then I'm using my watercolors or gouache colors. And of course, I have my optical equipment with me. Uh, it's impossible to work outdoors without a spotting scope. I have a big bag, a roller actually, with full with equipment, sketching material, watercolors, and a folding chair to sit, some water, everything you can imagine.
And the other question I was going to ask you, which I was just it was just on the tip of my tongue just then, actually, and it's just slipped when you mentioned the last thing you said. But
Mhm.
what I was going to ask you was, what do you actually what is your do you do watercolor or is it oil? Did you say watercolor?
Yeah, watercolor and gouache colors.
Okay.
But mostly I'm using watercolors when working outdoors.
Okay. And one question that's always sort of people ask a lot
Uh-huh.
when I have artists on this particular show,
Yeah.
they ask to see what sort of brushes you use and stuff like that. So I'm preempting questions here that may come later, but I just wondered if you can show us the kind of brushes you use.
Uh, Actually, I don't have any preferences. They don't have the most expensive ones, and I use both the synthetic and natural hair brushes
All right.
from every possible brand. I don't have any preferences. As I said before, yeah.
Okay. Is it possible to show us some stuff you've been working on? Some sketches you've done.
Sure. Um, is it possible to do it before that to show you my a couple of my very first books I ever done, Greece,
Oh, sure.
at least the covers. Here they are. Uh, is it visible enough?
Wow.
These books have been printed in 1996, 1 year before I left Greece to Munich. This has been the first one of the books about the um, which is the English name. This is the sea
Turtle.
turtle.
Turtle, yeah.
Yeah, careta careta is the scientific name. Um,
It looks like a leatherback, maybe leatherback turtle. I don't know.
yeah, this is the Dalmatian pelican, dedicated to Dalmatian pelican. as I said, there's a series of books dedicated to actually to various endangered animals, and there are kid books, actually children books.
Yeah.
There's another one upon the brown bear.
Yeah.
The monk, Mediterranean monk seal.
Yeah.
And the last ones who have been created while in Munich, already 2 years later, is about the wolf and about the red deer.
Nice.
Yeah, this is the whole collection. The first ever books I've ever illustrated dedicated to wildlife.
Fantastic.
Okay, you have been talking about showing some of my sketchbooks. This is a typical sketchbook of mine. I can, oh yeah, this is the sketchbook I had with me when I've been in Extremadura for the first time. Do you recognize the location? It has been in Portilla, in Monfragüe.
I see.
Yeah, the Eagle Owl. Some half-finished drawings. Griffin Vulture in the Rain. This is how most of my sketchbooks look like. Half-finished sketches in between eyes and beaks and I don't know what else. A lot of such half-finished stuff. My first ever day in Serena, in the south of Extremadura, with the Madagascar area.
Beautiful.
Leather kestrel, male. Corn binding. Right, it's much better. Such stuff, and some sketches from the zoo. Tucking while walking. An Indian rhino.
Wow.
Should I show something more? I don't know.
I mean, I think there's always loving this. Just out of interest, what sort of artist are you? Are you confident? You know, are you, for example, you've just shown us some of your work there, but are you confident to just do a sketch now and just and not worry about it, or do you always feel that they have to be perfect and do you throw away a lot of your work?
The older I get, I'm becoming more confident, I would say. But there are many cases when I did start a composition and I have to give up for more than one time, and I have to throw it away and then start from the beginning again from nothing and from the whole blank page. And it depends. You mean when I'm working outdoors, or on the studio?
No, I think it's more, I mean, I'm not an artist, so I'm thinking more along the lines of what I would do if I might sketch something and I think it's not good enough to show anyone. Do you feel that way as well, or do you just feel confident? You just know when you've done something good and you're happy to show it?
Yeah. As I told you, that the older I get, I'm becoming more confident, and meanwhile I know that I have a certain amount of knowledge in my head. I have a certain amount of images, and I can compare what's right and what's wrong. When I have seen so many wildlife animals and birds, and I have painted and drew them, I know that when I'm seeing an image and looking after a while, when I have done an image and I have looked at the image after a while, I'm sure that what's right, what's wrong. There are paintings and sketches I've done years ago, and I'm still very pleased with them. But there's a lot of stuff which I regret that I've done them. But this is the process which makes us actually wiser and give us the confidence to go on actually.
Yeah. Caroline in the audience, she's asking, how long does it take to do a sketch like what you just shown us? For example, how long did it take to do the griffin vulture in the rain?
That was actually a very controlled conditions, I would say, because the vultures, while raining, they are staying almost still at the same position and wait. And I was in shelter in the lookout point of the Portilla, and it was actually very comfortable to work from a certain distance using the scope. And I'm not sure, but not more than half an hour, I would say.
Half an hour.
Yeah.
Is there anywhere in the world that you'd like to go and you know, draw and sketch and paint?
I would say South America, or the northern parts of our continents, just like northern Scandinavia or Siberia. Yeah, so that's parts of the world. I haven't been there, but I'm dreaming of being there sometime. One day.
What appeals to you in those areas? What's drawing you there?
In Siberia, the vastness of the country, the vastness of the landscape, and the very special animals and birds who live there. It's something far away from human settlements, and I guess it must be very peaceful feeling to be there. I can imagine how could it be to be there.
Yeah, it must be great.
Yeah,
I like to go myself actually. I want to go and yeah, just to experience that before climate change makes it too difficult. Hopefully that'll be reversed, but that's another subject.
mm-hmm.
Is it possible for you to kind of, you got your easel set up, is it possible for you to draw something whilst we talk to you?
Oh, sure. I have to move the camera closer to the easel. Then you can see me if it's close enough.
That's good.
Second.
And just to let all the Zoomers know, if you want to see this in full, then you need to switch to speaker view so you can see the whole page.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So what are you gonna sketch for us?
I'm not sure, but I guess I'm going to start with a bird head of a bird who everyone knows or have these impressions of the same bird. Is it visible enough?
Yeah, it is. I mean, any Zoomers, any issues? But from my point of view, it looks great.
I'm going to try to come somewhat closer. From this point, it's not well. Okay. Is it better now?
A bit crooked. It was
okay.
It doesn't matter. We can see.
Right. I'm just using a kind of fine liners. It's a Japanese brand. I don't know the same. I guess Sakura. I'm trying to do the sketch somewhere bigger. I guess it's much better now, or the shading is too strong.
If you just leave it where it is and just carry on, it'll be fine.
Okay. I want to show how I'm starting drawing. I'm always starting with the eye.
Really?
Independently, if I'm going to draw a bird or animal or a human, it's always the same. Drawing a certain point enables me to estimate the distance to the various parts of the head, just like to the beak, for example. Is it visible enough?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
I can keep it to this stage. This is the eye.
Or what you could do, you could put it back on the easel, but just take the light off it so much because
Okay.
your spotlight's on the top and it's kind of burning it a little bit. So if you can move your light slightly higher,
Okay.
higher.
Yeah.
If you just tilt your light away slightly, and we might see some more detail.
Better?
Yes, better.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
Okay. As I tell you, I drew first the eye, and I'm trying to estimate the distance to the beak. This could be the nostrils, the beak. I have the possibility to estimate the head top, the distance to the head top from this case, the ear covered.
Okay, so whilst you're drawing, there's a question from Marco. Marco, do you want to come on and ask it?
Okay, I'm here.
Oh, yeah, hi.
Hello to everybody.
Hi, Marco.
Hello. And first of all, congratulations for your artwork.
No, thank you. Welcome.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Before you go in the field to paint directly from life, do you usually practice in the studio? For example, from photographs or from videos, to have a bit of practice, I mean.
But to be prepared for the...
Yes.
No, I never did that. This has been an only case I did that in a manner. Actually, I started a little bit some birds and animals when I visited Israel for the first time, because there have been many birds which have not been familiar with, and but I didn't make any studies. Just I want to see how they look like, and I tried to have an impression, to create an impression in my head prior to the trip.
Okay, thank you.
Is it right when I'm still drawing while talking?
You can multitask, yeah?
Okay, yeah. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome, Marco. I'm just doing now the beak. It could be every possible thrush species.
Are there any artists that influence you or you really respect in terms of their work?
Oh, sure they are. I was talking about the first nature guide, bird guide actually. I discovered 27 years ago, and but they weren't the artists who did the guide who inspired me mostly. It has been actually my first visit to the publisher in Athens when I delivered my artwork for the books I was showing you. I showed you, and he was talking at that time. I knew that this publisher has lived in Canada for a long time of his life, and showed me a calendar of. He was talking about an artist, a very important Canadian artist, and he showed me a calendar of his artists. And this artist was Robert Bateman. And when I saw his artwork, his composition on the calendar, I was really blown away from the quality of his work, and I tried to find out what kind of work he is doing, and I was able to order a couple of books of his and try to study the way he was working. In the beginning, to maybe to imitate his style, but I knew that I have to find my own way to to present my own work. And then it was also the same year I was able. Is it visible?
Yes.
Yeah. In the same year, I found I discovered the bird guide of Lars Johnson. It was actually the biggest revelation. I would say that I realized very well that this artist knew his birds so well, and that he saw his birds and he knew how they're moving and how they um, how to draw them correctly, and at the same time to act like real birds on the paper. Is that enough to draw something in addition? What do you think?
Well, I think it's fabulous personally, but
Maybe in a point somewhat later, I can add something to the drawing. Right?
sorry, say that again.
I could do one additional sketch somewhat later.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, sure. Maya has a question or two for you.
Yes, I do. Well, I just want to say how amazing your artwork is. Just very impressive.
Okay.
So my first question was, what's maybe the hardest animal or plant species that you've had to draw or paint?
I'm not sure. That's a difficult question. But I would say animals who doesn't exist anymore, just like extinct mammals, just like the Tasmanian wolf, for example. A great help has been actually the videos will still exist from the 30s, but it was very, very difficult to try to imagine how could it look like in color and with all the details which an animal actually has. And at the same time, the anatomy has to be correctly depicted, and it was a great challenge, I guess. Yeah.
Thank you. Also, my other question was whether you prefer painting or drawing in the studio or out in the field.
I'd love to spend the most of my time actually in the field, but it's practically impossible, unfortunately. When I'm in the field and working in the field, I feel the feeling I have is it can't be compared with the studio work.
Do you still paint out if it's like raining or?
Sometimes, yeah. Just carrying the umbrella, or I did it also during snowfall in the zoo, drawing a blackbird in front of me, just carrying the umbrella and so drawing the blackbird, which was just sitting in the front of me and 1 meter away.
Well, thank you.
Welcome.
Shailesh Patel by Nature on Instagram, on Twitter, is asking, did you know Martin Woodcock, who died recently? He did a lot of artwork for birds of Africa. Did you know him at all?
I'm not sure. I guess I have a book of his. There has been Safari sketchbook, right? This is the only book I have seen of his. Do you know any more books of him? I don't know. This is the only artwork I know of him.
Well, Shailesh, you better come on and speak because I don't know too much about Martin's work on the birds of Africa.
Yeah.
Are you willing to speak?
Oh, yes. Thank you, David.
Hello, Shailesh.
Hello there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Now, Martin Woodcock did a lot of drawings for birds of Africa. And they were in a series up to 12. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
A good artist. I mean, okay, I don't have those books because they are a bit pricey. I thought you knew him.
I know his name and I know his book. I have his book, Safari Sketchbook, is its name. But I don't know a lot about him. Did he has he done a lot of field work? Did you know that? Do you know that?
I knew him from through African Bird Club.
Uh-huh.
I met him some years ago at the bird fair.
Okay.
He just did everything for birds of Africa. That's the only thing I know.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I have to note his name, and I'm going to search more about him.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for noticing him.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you, Shailesh. Claire Evans, I believe that you may have a question or two. Claire?
I'm here. Sorry, I just keep my camera going. Yeah, I just wanted to know, Pascalis, are you able to draw from memory? Or do you prefer to draw from real life or in the field or photos?
Both, actually. In all cases. I'm doing a lot of work from memory, a lot of work directly from life, and I'm using photographs and in particular videos mostly in order to understand the movement in case I'm not able to go outdoors, and just as a reference material or to choose the posture I like most. Yeah. But as you have you seen the sketch I've done before?
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
This is the way I'm working when I'm working from memory, actually.
Okay.
But in case the time allows, I'm able also to add some more details also. This is the benefit of working outdoors. It enables us to save in our brain so many images and to compare them with images we know, what are the new images, and it's always fascinating to
I suppose if you're very familiar with a lot of different birds, it's easier to draw them from memory.
The birds and mammals, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Thanks, Claire. Shailesh, you got another question? You come on for the first time, and now you can't stop, can you?
Yeah, I'm sorry, David. Now,
I love it. It's great.
I have a question for Pascal. Now, I don't know if you do have time.
Yeah.
Can you do a drawing of ring oval for our friend, for David, please?
Say again.
Ring oval.
Yeah, for David, please.
Okay.
that's. I mean, if you do have time.
I can't talk and to draw at the same time, but I'm going to have to answer. You're welcome. I'm going to.
You can make that bird into ring oval, can't you?
The question is which subspecies?
Pestris, without a doubt.
All right, with waiting wings. All right.
Talking about ring ousel, and thank you, Shailesh, by the way. That's very nice of you to ask that question. You did some work for the recent European Bird Atlas, the second European Bird Atlas.
That's true. Yeah.
And I've seen that it's been launched recently. And what illustrations did you do?
There have been 13 illustrations. Actually, I heard of the project very late, too late. I'd like to have some more species, to have reserved some of the species to illustrate, but it was too late. Just like this rock partridge, for example. I know the bird very well. Or I don't know what else. A couple of falcons maybe. But I had a bit. I was working at that time on a field guide, or a small field guide for the cypriotic ornithologists. Have been published 2 years ago, and they suggested me to take part of this project. And these 13 illustrations were the last I could reserve to illustrate. There have been a few falcons, just like red-footed falcon, lesser kestrel, and Lena falcon, the European subspecies, Perdegi. Also Montagu's harrier, and Bonelli's eagle, of course. You didn't ask me yet about my favorite bird, Bonelli's eagle, of course. And
I have to ask you about your second favorite bird now.
Second favorite.
Not yet, not yet, not yet.
Not yet. Okay. What else? It has been Zucker Partridge and eagle owl, Eurasian eagle owl. Yeah, I guess that was Calandrelac, of course. Yeah, one of my beloved birds. Yeah.
I got a question from Joe Seal. I wonder if Joe Seal will come on and ask it.
Okay.
Oh,
Hello, Joe Seal.
can you hear me?
Yeah,
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you've done your drawings are so realistic. Have you done anatomy studies, like with dissection, to get like where the muscles insert and how they pull on the skin, or is it just sheer talent?
Actually, there no such a close experience. I never had such close experiences, but what I did was to study a lot from books, anatomy books,
Wow.
and then to draw from life a lot. While drawing from life and having the images from anatomy books in the head, you can compare the movements,
Wow.
particularly to the mammals. In the birds, is somewhat easier because the biggest part of the body is covered by feathers. But working on mammals, particularly the short-haired ones, it's very easy to understand how the muscles are moving beneath the skin.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
And,
amazing.
and then, with the time, it's very easy then to, as I told you to Claire before, it's easy to save in my brain images, and then saving these images, I can improve my representation of a certain species with the time.
Wow. So you have a great intuitive feel for how
Yeah.
they move.
It's also a feeling. It's not just the knowledge, but also a feeling for the shape. Which can be with the training, with sketching training, of course, can be improved with the time. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, Joe Seal. Nice to see you again. What advice, Pascalis, would you give to someone who wants to become a wildlife artist?
You mean technically or as
I think more because
freelancer?
yeah, because I guess it's a very crowded market, just like wildlife photographers, I suppose. But there's obviously far fewer wildlife artists. How do you make an impression? How do you get your first break? How do you get known?
Oh, I guess very important to everyone's career is, in particular to illustrators or artists' careers, to take part in competitions and try to attract the attention of public and specialists to his work, showing his work and be able to gain some prizes. And this the first time I actually have got recognition of my work more widely, European wide. It has been the Bird Illustrator of the Year from British Birds, for example. I've been twice the runner-up, and my colored painting has been appeared on the cover of British Birds. And this has been actually the reason some German ornithologists discovered that I have done some work for British Birds, and then asked me to make my first bird guide on Cosmos Publishers, where your book also appeared, published. Yeah, it's pretty important. 2 years later, I got the first prize in the German competition for bird artists, and such recognitions and awards always help to promote ourselves and go forwards.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed, obviously, I think I first came across your work on social media. Do you think social media is a very good platform?
Oh yes,
for artists to get known?
It enables us to get in contact with people from around the world and show our work to much wider public, and also to get more commissions from everywhere in the world. It's I never regretted to be on the social media, and I'm not very actually I'm only very active on Facebook, I guess. I have an account on Instagram, but I'm not very active on this. I don't have the time to get involved with it a lot. I found Facebook to be much easier to handle with. And prior to this social media age, I've been a member of that forum for years now. Yeah, it helps also a lot.
I can't say enough how useful social media is. I mean, on one hand, it's a cesspit, especially Twitter. I mean, it can be a terrible place to inhabit. But for me personally, social media, if it wasn't for social media, I don't think I'll be talking to you guys today, because it's such a great medium if you use it properly, and if you are responded to really get a message out. So yeah, I think it's, there's a lot to be said for social media. Mark has asked another question. After the recently published European Bird Breeding Atlas, what are your next projects?
You mean right now?
Right here and now.
Right. We're going to start a new project about the fauna and flora of the Alps with Cosmos published in the next year. And at the moment, just finished a couple of illustrations for Cosmos about the book of garden birds. And in other cases, a lot of private commissions. A colibri, a red-tailed comet colibri I did for a friend lately. A very rare colibri species living in Bolivia.
Sorry, just to interrupt. For those who don't know, colibri.
Red-tailed comet.
Yeah, it's a hummingbird. It's
yeah, exactly. One of the biggest species, living in very high altitude in Bolivia, in South America. It has been also a challenge, just like a few bigger canvases featuring birds of prey and wildcats, just like snow leopard or Bonelli seagull portrait, for example.
Okay. So when you're not painting or drawing or staring through your telescope, what things, Dennis Reardon saying that all, what things interest you outside of nature? What do you do? What are your hobbies?
There's a very little time left having a family to work for the family, but I love music a lot. I'm singing too when I have the time, and hiking. I like hiking, be in nature, of course, and with friends. And in any case, everything has to do with nature, to be outdoors. And I'd love to I wish I could have more time to be outdoors and have more time to do some sport. Like in my youth, I played as a playmaker in a basketball team. And I'm missing these days, but the time is missing. I'm missing the time.
Yeah, time is short. And when you say you love the outdoors and use the word singing in the same sentence, it makes me think that you are a yodeler.
No, no, I'm not German born, but no, I love the Greek folks music, for example, or very classical singers of the 50s and 60s, just like Como or King Cole, just this kind of music.
Not King Cole.
King Cole, or Andy Williams, such kind of things. I love the melody of these songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so listen, we've come to the hour mark nearly. So those questions that I need to ask you are burning on my chest. First question is it's going to be the hardest one. What is your most favorite mammal?
My favorite mammal. It's difficult to answer, but I would say the Iberian lynx.
Nice.
Yeah, very rare, wildcat, very beautiful.
It's
I think personally, I found him much more beautiful than the boreal or northern lynx.
Yeah, it's the rarest cat in the world. Have you seen many Iberian lynx?
Only in captivity.
Okay.
Only in captivity. And many videos, countless videos so far. Yeah.
What's your favorite bird?
It's easy to answer. Is the Bonelli's eagle. A bird I know very well because I've been studying him for years in his breeding place in Greece for years, every day, every year, and during the breeding season, and I'm still fascinated by this bird.
Yeah, I saw one. I saw one literally 3 days ago.
Really?
Just outside Merida when I was at
You're a lucky guy.
Sorry?
You're a lucky guy.
And if you could be anywhere in the world, not regardless of the pandemic, forget about the pandemic. But if you could be anywhere in this world right now, where would you be?
Extremadura. Extremadura in Spain.
Yeah, come hang out with me.
Right. I'd love to.
Okay, so Zoomers, let me just quickly remind you as to what's happening over the next couple of weeks in Conservation With, because we have a couple new additions to the list of people that will be appearing. And whilst I'm actually trying to get the thing to open up because my internet for some reason has got slow, one of the people, actually tomorrow, we have a woman called Heather Wolf, who will be actually talking about birding in Brooklyn Bridge Park. So it'll be all about urban birding tomorrow. So all you urban birding fans, this is your opportunity to talk about that kind of thing. On Monday, we have a guy called Joel Ashton, who is Monday the 14th, who is a gardener, urban wildlife gardener. So we'll be talking about all your questions or answering all your questions on urban wildlife gardening. On Tuesday, there's a lady called Emma Mitchell on, and she's a woman that I came across online on Twitter. She has a massive following, and she's going to be talking about mental health, maintaining your mental health through nature. She herself suffers from depression, so it'll be interesting to talk about that subject. It's a subject we haven't spoken about in conservation yet, so I'm looking forward to talking about that. On Thursday next week, we've got Melissa Grew, who is an amazing photographer from America. She lives in Ithaca, which is in the New York State, and she calls herself a biographer, not a photographer. Alison Steadman on Monday, the 21st of December. She's a famous actress in Britain. She is a darling. She's a national treasure, but she's also a birder. So we'll be talking about nature. So that will be a good one to attend. And on Tuesday, the 22nd of December, just before Christmas, but then we're not going to be out partying. We're going to be inside watching In Conservation With, because Dave Goulson will be with us. And he is an expert on bumblebees in particular, but we'll be talking about bumblebees and other insects. So lots of great stuff lining up for us. Hope to see you all at some point at one or two of those. Pascalis, thank you for sharing your art and your techniques and your stories with us for tonight. It's been very enjoyable.
It was a great pleasure for me too. Thanks for inviting me. It was pretty funny and knowledgeable. Thank you.
Good. And Zoomers, thank you very much for being here tonight and supporting this night. It's been a great evening of discussion. Keep looking up and don't forget to keep safe.